Top story tonight, reaction. Joining us from his headquarters here in New York City is Donald Trump. So, after some reflection, after your victory last night, who do you think is your main competition right now among Republicans?
I would say all of them, Bill. I have no idea. Just keep chugging. Go forward. I think we have some really good positions, and I'm just going to use those positions. Strong military, take care of our vets, border control, security, generally speaking, now that we have the ISIS situation. Ever since Paris, it changed a lot, Bill, and it became outside big league security, and that was important. I think Obamacare is a very big issue. I see it. We're going to repeal it and replace it with something much better and much less expensive, and we have a lot of different things we're going to do.
All right, but South Carolina, every state is different. You know that. And South Carolina, it looks to be a battle between you and Cruz for, number one, the evangelical vote, which you won in New Hampshire, and number two, right, the committed conservative vote. So we just saw the ad where your guy was saying that he's an establishment, whatever he may be. So don't you consider Cruz to be your main competitor in South Carolina?
Well, he may be. I mean, he may be, but I really view them all. I mean, look how fast things can happen. I thought Marco would be there, and Marco had a bad debate. We have a big debate coming up on Saturday night. We'll see how it goes. So far, I've liked the debating. It's worked out well for me. But, I watched that, and it was a pretty unpleasant situation
so
to watch.
that could happen to you on Saturday. It could happen to anybody.
No, it's not going to happen to me.
Couldn't happen to you?
A lot of things, well.
Okay.
I hope not.
All right.
A lot of things, hey, Bill, a lot of things can happen.
That's for sure. You said this morning on some other program that nobody really watches that Hillary Clinton is evil.
Which one?
I can't remember, but now you're on the big forum. You said this morning that Hillary Clinton is evil. What does that mean?
Well, they asked me, one word. I never liked the one-word comparisons or analogies, but they asked me one word for various people, and she's got, there's a tendency, if you look at the job she did as Secretary of State and the destruction that she's caused, I don't know what it is. The word evil came to mind. The decisions that they made on so many different fronts as Secretary of State were absolutely insane. And I thought,
but isn't that
of the word evil.
You invited Hillary Clinton to your wedding.
You could have.
Did you invite? You invited her to your wedding. I mean, you don't invite evil people to your wedding. I invited you to my wedding
also.
Yeah, but I am.
I invited you to my wedding.
I mean,
also.
evil applies to me.
That's right.
But Hillary Clinton.
I got along with everybody.
But
hey,
why
Bill,
would? But I'm curious about this. Inept, I could see. You're saying that her tenure as Secretary of State really wasn't good for the country. But that's more of an ineptitude than evil is evil.
Okay, it's inept. I could have used inept.
But that's in your mind, though,
too, frankly, because
it's in your mind that she might be evil.
You know what at a certain point, you say to yourself, what's going on over here? How do you make so many bad decisions? You look at what's going on in the Middle East right now. You look at the decisions made by her and President Obama. Whether you call it evil or inept, I really don't care. But a lot of bad things have happened, and a lot of death has taken place. So I'm going to say that
you don't really think she's evil, though. You don't think Mrs. Clinton's evil.
Well, let's just keep it in abeyance. Let's see what happens.
All right. Bernie Sanders, how do you assess the senator? I mean, is he a threat to the country, or do you find him amusing? How do you assess him?
I think he'd be easy to beat. Now, you never really know, but when people start figuring out that their tax bill is going to be 95%, I would think that far outweighs the fact that he wants to give everything away. Somebody's going to pay for it, and you know who's going to pay for it? You and me and most other people. So when that bill gets down and they start talking about a 95% tax bill, I think he loses big league. I'm frankly shocked that a socialist, maybe beyond socialist, maybe communist, who the hell knows, but I'm shocked that a socialist is beating Hillary Clinton so easily. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I'm very surprised by it. I think in the end he won't make it, but we'll see what happens.
Do you believe that Bernie Sanders thinks that he can get the stuff that he says through Congress? Because I gave you a hard time about immigration. You're never going to be able to deport 12 million people. That's impossible. And I told you that.
Yes, I will.
No, you won't.
Okay, we'll
go back to that.
Time will tell.
All right. Do you think that Bernie Sanders believes what he says, that he's going to run up another $19 trillion debt and nothing's going to happen? I mean, what?
Look, he was a very ineffective senator for years. I mean, he hasn't done anything as a senator. All of a sudden, he's going to totally change the country around? I don't think so. No, I don't think he believes he can get this through Congress. I don't think he even thinks he has a chance, but I think it sounds great for an election for his purposes.
So you think it's a vanity run? You think it's a vanity run?
No, I think that he does not believe he can get it through Congress. You'd have to ask him that question. Right. He does not believe he can get it through Congress. I fully believe that.
Were you invited to the Sharpton-Bernie Sanders breakfast in Harlem today? Did they ask you to come?
I'm devastated. I'm devastated that I was not invited. I would have loved to have been there.
I would have loved to have been there. Would you like to? Because there's not a chance in hell, to quote Madeleine Albright, that Sharpton's going to support Sanders. I mean, he's a Hillary.
Well, look,
he's a Hillary guy.
I know Al Sharpton better than I know you, and I've dealt with him for years and years and years. And you know, when he's not political, he says, "Oh, I love Donald Trump. I love Donald Trump." But I will say, in fact, he came up to my office not so long ago to apologize because on his show, which is now off the air, which is a fortunate thing, he called me a racist, and he literally came up to my office and he apologized to me, which, by the way, I thought was very nice. So I know Al, Al is just doing his thing, Bill. He does his thing. We all do our thing. He was doing his thing, and he continues to do it.
All right. I'm going to now have some policy questions for you, if you will just hang tough for a moment, and we appreciate it, Donald, as always. Then later on the program, Miller, now last night's winner of the New Hampshire primary, Donald Trump. Now, Friday, the feds announced that China is selling $366 billion more merchandise to we Americans than we Americans sell back to the Chinese. $366 billion trade gap. Specifically, how will you fix that?
You know, this is my big point. I've been talking about it for years.
But I want to know how you're going to do it.
The number's actually higher than that. Well, listen to me. I'll tell you, okay? We are going to have to go. One of the reasons they're able to do it is they devalue their currency to such an extent. They are the single greatest currency manipulator that's ever been on this planet. And if they don't stop devaluing, we're going to have to charge them a tax on the goods coming in. They, by the way, Bill, just in case you don't know it, they tax our goods going into China. It's a totally unfair deal. And what's happened, every time they devalue their currency, they make it impossible and more difficult for our businesses to deal with China on the other side. The gap is getting bigger and bigger. It's really called the deficit. The deficit is getting bigger and bigger. And unless we have somebody very smart and very tough that understands it, and our president does not understand it, but I understand it better than anybody, we're going to have nothing but trouble.
So you're going to say
to be 505.
If
Bill,
you
it's going to be $505 billion this year.
I'm going to slap a tariff on all Chinese goods coming into the United States. Okay. They then are going to say to you, yes, President Trump, we are going to sell all of our bonds that we are holding for America's debt. We're going to flood the market with them and crash your currency. That's what a trade war would do.
They're not going to crash. No. They wouldn't crash. They won't crash our currency. They'll crash their economy. That's what they're going to crash. Right. They start playing that.
Bloody.
They will crash their economy. You will have let me explain something. We're too dependent on China. We're too dependent. They will have a depression the likes of which you've never seen if they ever did that. That's what would happen, Bill. I mean, you know what people don't understand in our dealings with China? We have the cards. They don't have the cards.
It's a high
Unfortunately,
noon
we have political leaders that don't. We have the cards because they need our economy.
And that was a good, specific answer, and I appreciate that. So now let's go on to your statement. You're going to deport 12 million people. As you have to know, each one of the 12 million people here illegally is entitled to due process. That means that if Donald Trump, as president, issues a deportation order, they are entitled to a court hearing in front of a judge. With 12 million people, it takes us up to 2,000. They are.
Excuse me.
2,086.
If they're here illegally, Bill, if they're here illegally, they may or they may not be. Just like the argument we had about the anchor babies.
I'm telling you,
in my opinion, you don't need.
All settled law says once you're here, you are entitled to our constitutional protections. Every single case. All right. Just so you know.
I disagree. Okay?
Okay.
I disagree. That doesn't mean I wouldn't do that. That doesn't mean I wouldn't do it.
They'll block it.
If they're here illegally, I disagree with you.
They'll block it. The federal courts
are
blocking
illegally, Bill.
Look, Obama just got blocked.
They're here illegally.
It doesn't matter. They're entitled to constitutional protections. Obama just got blocked on A, his illegal immigration amnesty, and B, in telling the coal companies that you can't have a certain amount of emissions. He got blocked on both of them.
You and I had an argument not so long ago about the anchor babies, where somebody comes, has the baby here, and they're forever going to be taken care of. And everybody said you need a new constitutional amendment to end that. They turned out to be wrong. I turned out to be right. You just need an act of Congress. Right. You don't need a new constitutional amendment. And we had the same discussion.
You can change the law, but
There's
not retroactively. You can change it, but not retroactively.
Okay. So, Bill, what you're saying would mean that if somebody just walked across the border, and they're here for a couple of days, and a Border Patrol catches them, they can't bring them back. We have to go through a whole long process,
right? It depends.
Because you're not right about that.
They can catch them in the act of crossing. If they catch them in the act of crossing, they can repatriate right away. If they're here and established, they get the due process. All right, one more thing.
Right, I disagree.
All right, okay. That's what makes our program great. We have lively debate. You know that. All right, in Colorado, they legalized pot, okay? $1 billion industry, $1 billion a year industry in Colorado. And all of the dealers, all the pushers are going to Colorado, loading up on the free pot because it's legal, not free, legal, and then zooming around the country selling it. Does that concern you?
It's a real problem.
What would you do?
It's a real problem.
What would you do?
There's another problem. In Colorado, the book isn't written on it yet, but there's a lot of difficulty in terms of illness and what's going on with the brain and the mind and what it's doing. So, it's coming out probably over the next year or so. It's going to come out.
But what would you do to stop it?
It is.
What would you do as president?
I would really want to think about that one, Bill, because in some ways I think it's good and in other ways it's bad. I do want to see what the medical effects are. I have to see what the medical effects are. And by the way, medical marijuana, I am in favor of it 100%. But what you're talking about, perhaps not. It's causing a lot of problems out there.
But the medical marijuana thing is a ruse that I got a headache and I need 2 pounds of marijuana.
It is, but I know people that have serious problems,
but
and they did that, and it really does help them.
Okay. All right, was that fun? Fun interview? Another one? Fun? You like this show better than anyone, right?
It's always a pleasure after I have 1 hour's sleep coming in from New Hampshire to be on your show.
But you still look tan. You still tan, even though you're not getting any sleep. I don't know how that happens. Donald Trump, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Maybe it's good.
And once again, congratulations on the victory in New Hampshire.